from what others are doing. You're pursuing what you're really passionate about. There are so many things and terms that people say that entrepreneurs do. But primarily what we plan to do today is that I'll be telling you about the 10 major traits that every entrepreneur should possess. Obviously there are a lot of qualities that every entrepreneur should have, but these are the major 10, because I think that besides these 10, if you take care of these 10, almost everything is being taken care of. So we shall go one by one on each and every trait and we'll discuss about that. One more thing that I have to tell you is I've given you small slips there on which you also need to evaluate me and give me the requirements that are given on that sheet of paper. So let's move on to the first trait. The first trait here is that all entrepreneurs sail through uncertainty. Now what happens with general people, whenever we confront a situation where we are not very decisive about the outcome of that particular situation, we tend to avoid that situation. If we think that this is going to be risky, or the other condition is that we are not even aware about what we are going to, how we are going to benefit from the same, or whether the results are able to come or not, whether the results will come or not. I'll give you an example today. If you talk about athletes, world records are made and world records are also broken. But before the world record is made, everybody thinks that it is not possible to make that world record. But have you seen that once one person breaks a record, very soon 4 or 5 people break that record? Because then it comes into a human mind that it is possible for that thing to happen. And that is what entrepreneurs do. Wherever I will refer entrepreneurs as we. What we people do is, even if we don't know about the outcome of a particular event or activity or what we plan to do, we still go ahead. Because what matters is that you have taken a decision and you're working on it. Whether the results will be in your favor or not, that is a different matter altogether. But the first step is to take the first step. And that is what entrepreneurs do. Going on to the next trait, they are decisive and action-oriented. Now, the problem is that there are a lot of people who just preach things. There are a lot of motivational gurus, if you would have seen. And what motivational gurus do, they sit at a place, they say certain stuff, they even write books. But whether they have actually implemented that in real life or not, that is a question. That is the reason what I believe is, whatever I do is what I speak about. Because unless and until I am action-oriented, I will not be able to invoke the kind of feelings that are required. If any person only has the theoretical knowledge, then trust me, that person will never be able to tell you what we actually face as entrepreneurs, what are the problems, how you generate revenue, how you generate money. So you need to be decisive and you also need to be action-oriented. So that whatever you are saying is actually coming from the bottom of your heart. Because only then will it shake people. In one of my speeches earlier, I had said this line, that words are very, very important. Because what words do is, words shake up hearts. And once the hearts are shaken, the limbs automatically start to move. So that is why it is very important for us to be action-oriented. Moving on to the next slide, or the next trait. This is probably one of the most important traits. How many of you follow Steve Jobs here? Almost everybody does. In fact, sir also dresses up like Steve Jobs, I think. So, he always said that you need to be really passionate about what you do. Because you are always going to have phases in life, in work, when you will not make money. I will be sharing a similar incident to you, but I'll be talking more about it in another coming trait. Unless and until you love what you are doing, you will never be able to continue. Because you'll be having so many phases on a repeated basis when the money will not be coming, and when there would be so many people who would be telling you after you fail, I told you so. So that is one syndrome which we people are actually afraid, because there are so many people preaching to us, I told you so, I told you that the business is not going to work, I told you that your product will not sell, I told you that you will not excel, I told you that nobody in our family has ever done a business before. So there are so many people who are going to tell you the same line again and again, I told you so. So we need to avoid all those people and we need to focus on our work, and that can only be possible if we are very, very passionate about what we do, because passion is the only thing which will let you sail. The next trait is they are persistent. Now, passion is one part. Passion will keep you going. Passion will continue getting you in the right spirit, in the right frame of mind to go ahead and work. But being persistent is very, very important. Just like the example that T.A. Modi gave today of the boiling, and he compared 3 things. Unless and until you do things on a regular basis, it will not happen. I'll give you the example of Toastmasters also. Even in Dehradun, it happens that there are people who do not turn up for meetings regularly. Because the problem is that we tend to avoid doing routine things. You talk about so many players, athletes. Do you think that they do not practice every day? Do you think a person enjoys going to the gym every single day? That is not the case. It cannot be the case anytime. But why we do is because unless and until we make continuous efforts, things are not going to change for the good. So that is why being persistent is very, very important. Also, the faith of people increases if you are persistent. If a person is seeing my face once, twice, thrice, and he's seeing that the person is continuing in the same sector again and again, people tend to trust you more and you develop credibility for you. One more thing that I would like to add upon this is that if you look at very, very successful entrepreneurs, Jeff Bezos, then you look at Flipkart, the founder of Flipkart, then you look at so many people who have excelled. They have only excelled because they have worked in one particular sector. What people tend to do once they become entrepreneurs is we tend to just focus upon earning short-term money, maybe for 3 years, 4 years, then we switch on to something different. That would generate money, but that would never generate wealth for you. To generate wealth and to create an impact, you need to just work in one sector and continue working in the same sector. Let's move on to the next trait. The next trait is they know their customers. This is very, very important. And this is what we faced in real life. This was a problem that we faced. We were working in Dehradun. We were working with brands, the so-called brands, who never understood our concept. And for 2 years, we just wasted our time because we were trying to explain to them something which they are never going to understand. Now, maybe in this house there are 10 people. Out of them, 8 are interested in listening to me, 2 are not interested in listening to me. If I will continue focusing upon all 10, I might lose my focus. What is important is I need to focus on the 8 who are ready to listen to me. Once those 8 understand what I am talking about, the other 2 will automatically follow. So it is very, very important for us as entrepreneurs to know our customers. Because once we know our customers, we can develop strategy for them. As management students, you know that we have to develop strategy. So you will be knowing your customer, which would help you in knowing as to what you should present to your customers, because that is the most important part. So knowing your customers is very, very important. The next is they invest in technology. Do you know how many times on an average basis do we look at our phone? Any rough idea? What do you think?
100 times a day.
100 times a day, what do you think?
70.
70, 80?
More than 200 for me at least.
On an average, we look at our smartphones about 150 times a day. So as entrepreneurs, it is very, very important for us to invest in technology. We need to advertise, we need to showcase our product on the product. I'll repeat it again. We need to showcase our product on the product on which the majority of the product focuses. And here the product who's focusing is people. If people are focusing more upon the smartphones or let's say websites or technology, then I also need to advertise and invest more in technology. We need to follow up through mails, we need to do stuff where people are more concerned so that my product goes on to the right audience and in the right format. Gone are the days when we had to advertise on billboards, because as of now, a person who's driving is not even looking at the road, he's looking on his phone. So how do we expect that person to look at the billboard that is on the left side or the right side of the road? So it is very important to invest in technology and advertise in the correct manner at the correct place. Moving on to the next trait. This is very, very important. They enhance their skills by investing in themselves. A very famous successful entrepreneur once said that if I am given 10 hours to cut trees, out of those 10 hours, I'll spend 6 hours in just sharpening my axe. Because in the remaining 4 hours, I'll take care of all the trees. What happens is, we continue working hard, we continue toiling hard, but we don't realize that we are lagging behind because we are not moving ahead with, let's say, technology or what is required. We are not investing in ourselves. We need to go to the gym, we need to take care of our fitness because we need to last longer. It is very, very important. We need to be good communicators because we need to put our product forward. We need to tell people that our product is good, and for that your communication skills are very, very important. And there are so many different parameters. If you are in software, then you should be good in designing, you should be good in implementing things, you should be good in coding, you should be good in thinking. So depending upon the kind of sector that you are working in, you need to invest in yourself and you should develop your skills time and again. It is a very, very important characteristic. Moving on to the next skill, the next trait. This is a very important line. Entrepreneurs never ever lose. Either they win or they learn. You can also relate it with the first point. that they sail through uncertainty. The very reason why we tend to sail through uncertainty is because we know that we are never going to lose. Now I'll give you an instance. I'll tell you something more about myself. While I was pursuing MBA, we were doing a business in my college, and we were doing very, very well. I repaid off my education loan, and for a continuous streak of about 3.5 months, on a daily basis, I was earning about 20,000 rupees at the age of 24, 25. So I thought, world is good, I have a lot of money. I was spending money like anything, and things turned out in our favor. We bought one of the most expensive cars in our college. In fact, just the college owner had a car which was more expensive than us. So then I decided, who wants to go for a job? Let's skip the job. So we bought a very luxurious car. As I've told you, I repaid off my education loan, and a lot of money was spent in partying and other things. Immediately what happened, the company collapsed. And the money that I was left with, we started with USP, which is my first venture. Now whatever money I had, I invested that in USP. So what happened then was that for the first one and a half year of my organization, we did not have adequate funds to run our organization. And you will not believe it. There were months where I just had rupees 500 in my pocket to take care of the entire month besides the fuel expenses. So even if we had to go for a meeting, after the meeting, even if we wanted to buy a cup of tea, we thought that if we buy 2 cups of tea, it would cost me rupees 20, which is more than my daily budget. So that was the kind of condition with which we lived. So I tell people that when people ask me, aren't you afraid being an entrepreneur? I say that things cannot get more worse than that. I mean, what worse can happen? A situation will never come when I'll be earning less than 500 rupees a month. But because of that experience, I learned a lot. I learned how to survive. I learned that you can do good things even without money. And there are so many learnings that came my way. I realized who my good friends are. I realized that I should stay away from my relatives. I hope none of them listens to this speech on Facebook. And I learned of various other things. And that was only possible because bad times come. So as entrepreneurs, either you are going to win or you are going to learn. You are never going to lose. This is very, very important. And that is why I motivate people all the time to take up entrepreneurship. Talking about the next trait is they hustle. What do you understand by the word hustle? Any idea?
Hustle is making up opportunities.
Okay, hustle is something related to the word of the day.
Like you go on.
You are, okay, well, somebody from there. What do you think?
So you need to make things change them quickly. It's either in a bad way, like
good manner, bad manner. Generally, people say, if you would remember, I had told the meaning of this word in one of the previous meetings here. So hustle actually means that you are always on the go, and you were in that meeting. So you better meet me after this meeting, why? Because you don't remember it. Hustle means that you are always on the go. Like today also, we traveled we started around 4 p.m. from Dehradun. We reached here at 7 p.m. I wanted to rehearse a little, but then I didn't get the time, and then I saw that I am the first speaker. I said, okay, let's go ahead with it. What happens is you need to be on the go all the time because you never know what the situation demands from you and when the situation demands the same thing from you. As an entrepreneur, you should always be on your toes. You never know what kind of opportunity you might miss because of your lethargicness. You have to take care of opportunities that come your way. I had my English teacher in class 12, and there was a particular line that he used to say, which I even remember today. He said that opportunities are the gift of God, but only for those who avail them. A lot of people don't even realize that an opportunity has come and gone by. So you need to hustle, you need to be on the move. Whenever you see something, if you think that this is worth doing, just go for it and do it right then and there. Because as per our human mind, if we start thinking more about a particular thing, we start focusing more on the negatives than the positives. After the first 30 seconds, we start thinking more about the negative outcomes of that work. So we should not think twice, thrice. If you think that this is going to work for you, then please go ahead with it and do that particular work. We also follow one more, I would say, digital entrepreneur. His name is Gary Vaynerchuk. If you people are aware about him, if you are not, go and find about him on YouTube. You'll find so many videos about that person. He says that the only thing that keeps me going is work. If you make me work, I can work for 10 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours a day on a continuous basis for months and months to come. Because that is what motivates me and that is what keeps me going. And that is what is important. Even a line is which says that in order to avoid working for others for 40 hours a week, entrepreneurs tend to work about the double of that time. That is, we work for 80 hours in a week so that we don't work for 40 hours for someone else. And that is what baffles our parents even more. They're not even earning money and you're putting in 80 hours every week. Going on to the next trait, This is very important. I don't know how many of you believe in this or not, but this is a very, very important trait. I'll tell you something. I first thought that I should focus upon only the 9 traits and not add the 10th trait. But then I thought this is very important and you should go ahead with this and you should understand this. They fake it till they make it. Now, I have one person with me who had gone with us to the Singapore trip. We had organized a trip with one of our sponsors, so we took our people along. Now, people don't know that that trip was on the verge of cancellation because of some financial issues and things were not going in the right direction with the college with whom we had coordinated. And I had taken money from about 5-6 people, so I couldn't say to any one of them. And I was getting messages from them. Sir, when are the tickets going to be booked? And I was telling them, let's see when we will find cheaper tickets and things like that. Because I had to tell them a story. I didn't know what to say to them because just 15 days were left and I had not even got a confirmation from that college. In fact, I was writing them mails, which took me about 2.5 hours just to draft those mails, convincing them that we should go ahead with it. But in front of my team members and my volunteers, I always had to put up a face with a smile that things are fine, things are good, don't worry about it. And then I also knew that I have told them that we'll be just having to spend not more than 50,000 rupees for the entire trip. Deep inside, I knew that if you go to Singapore, visa, tickets, everything, staying there for 10 days, it would require much more money. So I was doing the calculation, how many days we'll have to go to the Gurudwara, how many days we'll have to survive on Maggie and all those other stuff. But in front of others, I was like, yeah, don't worry, 15,000 rupees will be taken care of. So you need to fake it till you make it. It is very, very important. I'll tell you one more thing. You know this human mind of ours, you can cheat this human mind. You know about procrastination, when we tend to delay things. If we start saying things to ourselves that I have to do it now, I have to do it now, I have to do it now, it tends to get into the system, into the subconscious mind. So it is very important for us not only to put up a brave face in front of others, but it is also important to put up that kind of face even in front of our own selves and our own mind. Because I know that if we can cheat our own minds, then taking care of others who are around you is not that difficult a work. So it is very important. So it is very important to fake it till you make it, because once you have made it, then you don't need to fake anymore. And then you can tell people that at that point of time I was faking. Like now I can say, because the trip was a very successful trip, that we were facing difficulties. But if I would have done it right then and there, things would have been difficult. And all the entrepreneurs, they do it because in front of your team members, as leaders, even if I am going through a state of depression, even if I am going through a state of difficulty, it should never come out in front of your team members, because if they see you in that way, they will never ever go ahead with you, or won't believe you, or will get destroyed. So it is very important to be confident, or rather show that you are confident even if you are not. I hope that each one of you will leave it here. You can take a look of it, you can take a look, and each one of you who wants to be entrepreneur needs to focus upon majorly these 10 traits. If we do it, everybody can become a successful entrepreneur, and it is very important for everybody to follow the traits, so that, or rather imbibe the traits inside us, so that everybody goes on to become entrepreneurs. Because in the past 5-10 years, more jobs have been created by entrepreneurs than by the government or by any other organization. Thank you so much for your patient listening. I hope I have been able to make a difference in your thought process. Thank you so much.